What's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk about the new Yuffie and Lucia summer banner. Let's first look at Yuffie. So Yuffie gets a Fire Arcanum. There's only one other physical Fire Arcanum user in the game, which is Cloud. And then there are two magic Fire Arcanum in the game, which is Zack and Aerith. I say physical because her weapon, her fire weapon, is physical, but actually the costume, it works with physical and magic damage, because her other R ability from the costume is called Sun's Favor. It's a new one, and it gives 5% HP and 15% physical defense. So generally, this costume is good against physical enemies, enemies that do physical damage, and also it's good as when you use her as a physical user, because her weapon, this is the weapon that you probably want to use with the costume. It's an AoE fire physical weapon. So yeah, let's talk about the weapon now. So this weapon is competing with Cloud's fire physical weapon. So let's do that first. So at OB10, this weapon does 700 damage to all enemies, and if you have over 50% HP, it increases her fire potency by low, but it goes all the way to high. And since this is her main DPS weapon, this will easily get to high because you're gonna spam this all the time. So first cast you're gonna get low, second cast then you're gonna get mid, and then third cast high, and then after that it'll always be high as long as you keep casting it. So yeah, so let's summarize again. So 700%, and then you can go low to high fire potency. And then let's compare that to Cloud. Cloud's fire weapon, his Sky Splitter. So Cloud 850, but it is single target and it doesn't do anything else. So it's stronger. It has a stronger percentage here, but it doesn't boost his attack later. So Yuffie's, I'm not sure about the math, but I'm pretty sure Yuffie's is weaker until she gets to high potency. I believe high it's going to be 30 or 45% extra damage. So let's go to 850. 30% of 700 is, yeah, even if it's 30%, that's already 740, 20, that's already doing like 900 plus. So Yuffie is going to beat Cloud after 3 casts. Well, maybe 4, because the first 2 were a little weak. But Yuffie's is looking very, very strong now compared to Cloud's Sky Splitter. Just in damage alone, well, let's go back to Yuffie. Just in damage alone, Yuffie's is looking stronger than Cloud's eventually. But not only that, Yuffie's is all enemies. It hits all enemies, while Cloud's only hits one enemy. So that can be big. I mean, a lot of bosses are just single bosses, but there are some fights where you want to kill the add-ons as well. So I really like this weapon. It's better than Cloud's. It doesn't mean Cloud's is weak, but I think it's just in 99, maybe 99% of cases, if you just want a strong fire physical weapon, I would prefer Yuffie's Striped Moogle Float over Cloud's Sky Splitter. And it's got a Circle Sigil boost, which can be nice. Yeah, so that's Yuffie. Okay, so she's got a nice fire costume. It could work with magic damage if she ever gets a magic fire weapon, or if she wants to use fire materia. gives her defense. I think, is this the first Arcanum that gives defense? Most Arcanums, I can't think of any other Arcanum that gives defense. The other, all the other Arcanums we've gotten came with the second R ability. It was an offensive stat, but this might be the first Arcanum where you get defense. You're getting an Arcanum plus you're getting HP and physical defense. So I think this is a solid reason to pull if you need a strong fire physical user. Basically, if you don't have, I mean, Cloud is the only. Well, Glenn is okay too. Let's actually look. Cloud would be the best fire physical user, but Glenn is okay. I know Sephiroth is okay, but yeah. Fire, yeah. Sky Splitter is the best one. Then you have Glenn's Crew Kicker. Let's see how far did that go. It's weaker than Cloud and Yuffie, but still kind of strong. The problem is Glenn doesn't have a Fire Arcanum, so it's not as good, but it's workable. So if you have Glenn's Crew Kicker at OB6 or more, you might not need Yuffie, and or if you have Cloud's Sky Splitter at OB6 or more, you might not need Yuffie. Or if you have Cloud's costumes. Cloud has 2 costumes that work with Sky Splitter. Actually, no, he has 3. I believe it's 3. So he has an FF9 costume. He has his Monster Hunter costume, which you can still pull right now. And then I have it. He has what's it called? This one, the official festive garb, which, you know, similar fire Arcanum and then 5 physical attack. So if you have any of those at a decent OB, then you might not need Yuffie. But if you don't have any of those, then I think Yuffie is a solid choice here. Let's look at Lucia now. So her costume also has the Sun's Favor, like Yuffie. So her costume also gives some HP and physical defense. But she's not an Arcanum. She has buff debuff extension plus. So buff debuffs last 60% longer. I really like this costume because this costume works in pretty much any situation, right? Most enemies do physical damage, so physical defense will help a lot. But even if enemies do magic damage, the HP plus 5 will always be useful. So the Sun's Favor is mostly useful. I mean, it'll always be useful for the HP at the very least. But even the physical defense is commonly useful as well. And buff debuff extension is also almost always useful. We can look at her buffs and debuffs. So first of all, her limit breaks. She has two of her limit breaks do buffs and debuffs. So that alone, it will help those. Let's look. Her Cerulean Raven, where is it? Single target decreases physical attack mid, can go to high, and also decreases magic attack mid and can go to high. So she's got that. But my favorite one is probably this one. It's Cheering Shots. I like this one because it has a low charge speed, 800, so you can cast it pretty often. And it does damage, but you don't really care about the damage. It also increases physical attack mid to your entire team, and it increases magic attack mid to your entire team. And with the charge speed of 800, you can use this pretty often. And then you think about her costume is buff debuff extension plus 60%. So normally this lasts 10 seconds. With the costume alone, her cheering shot is going to last 16 seconds, and then by the time it runs out, you know, it won't take that much longer to just cast it again. So you can almost you can pretty much have increased damage for your entire team. Yeah, I mean, that's if you don't need the Cerulean Raven. I mean, so she's got 2 good options there, just in her limit breaks alone. But not only that, let's look at her weapons that she could use to buff or debuff. Well, actually, well, yeah, let's talk about her featured weapon. We didn't talk about that yet. Yeah, to summarize, costume right now, it's looking great. It's looking like you can use it in pretty much all situations. You can use this costume. Right, you're always going to want HP, you're often going to want physical defense, and you're often going to want buff debuff duration. I would say at least for now, based on her builds, you're going to want this like 90% of the time. Her featured weapon, Marine Shooter, it does some damage, but then that's not why you want it. It does some physical damage to all enemies. It decreases the physical attack of all enemies. That's pretty good. Physical attack decreased by mid, but it can go to high. I mean, once you get OB6, actually. So OB0, it's mid, and it stays at mid. But once you get OB6, then the physical attack can go to high, but it'll cost 2 casts, which is kind of annoying. Most of the time, you're probably just going to cast it once. Even if you have it at OB10, there are going to be a lot of situations where you just cast it once. So you're not going to get the physical attack down to high, unless you really want it. Like, you know, the boss will kill you otherwise. It also does a second effect though, which if she has 50% HP or more, then fire resist is decreased high. So that this is really good for fire setups, right? It just costs 1 cast, 4 ATB. You decrease all the enemy's attack mid, and you decrease their fire resist high. Just all in 1 cast. So pretty strong for any fire setup, really. You can use Lucia to support Cloud. You can use her to support Yuffie, to support Aerith, to support Zac. She'll be really good in a lot of fire setups. This is probably one of my favorite fire resist down weapons. You can compare it to other ones. Let me find other fire resist down weapons. Red has one. Is it this one? Yeah, his Ivy Collar. His Ivy Collar, it doesn't do anything other than fire resist down. So, but what's special about his Ivy Collar is that it only costs 3 ATB. But it's single target. Yeah, situational which one you use, but you can compare it to Lucia. Lucia does a lot of things, right? It does AoE, it does physical attack down, right? And the Reds just does single target single target fire resist down. And that's it. Who else do we have? We have Sephiroth. Sephiroth's Radiant Edge. I think this is a strong contender. So if you're going to use Yuffie or Cloud, right, physical fire, then you might just want to use Sephiroth instead of Lucia, because Sephiroth does physical defense down, as well as the fire resist to high, fire resist down. So for physical teams, Sephiroth might be better, but it really depends, right, on the fight, because Radiant Edge is single target, and some enemies might be immune to physical defense down, or some enemies might have really strong physical attack, like the Yuffie boss. So you might want to reduce their physical attack. So even if you're using Cloud or Yuffie, you might actually want Lucia to do the fire resist down. Yuffie also has a fire resist down. It's her boomerang, but It's probably one of the worst ones. It just does fire resist down, single target, and nothing else, and 4 ATB. But I guess the good thing about Yuffie is that you can use her as your main DPS and fire resist down, because her featured weapon plus her boomerang. You could do that kind of setup if you want. Then you have an extra character slot. And last we have Kate Sith. Forgot which one. I think it's this one. Yeah. Kate Sith's gold megaphone. It's single target, but also fire resist down, and it has a chance to crit. I believe it's 20% chance to crit. Yeah, 20% chance to crit. And if you do crit, then magic attack decreased high. So it's kind of good if you're versing a strong magic attack boss, but it does require some luck or just retrying a lot. And then if you really need magic attack down, right, you could just use Lucia and then use her limit break, Cerulean Raven, to reduce magic attack. So that could be another option. But yeah. So going back to her weapon, I think her weapon is really good for even if you're not versing fire enemies, even if you're not using fire. I mean, even if you don't need the fire resist down, the physical attack down to all enemies is decent. It's decent. There are not that many weapons in the game that can do that. At OB0, it already goes to mid. So yeah, there are some. I think Aerith has one, Barrett has one, Sephiroth has one, Yuffie has one. Yeah, but a lot of them they need maybe OB6 to do AOE, but Lucia's can do it at OB0. So yeah, pretty solid. I think conclusion, pretty solid. Conclusion is I think this is a strong banner for both costumes. My suggestion is pull for Yuffie if you don't have a fire physical setup. So you don't have fire cloud setup, or you don't have fire Glen setup, then I think Yuffie is a strong pull here. Yeah. So as for me, I'm not going to pull for Yuffie because I have fire cloud, I have his costume, and I have his sky splitter at OB6. So even though I think Yuffie is better than Cloud, I'm a free-to-play player, so I can't afford to pull everything. So I would skip. I'm going to skip her, but yeah, it depends on what you have. And then for Lucia is a strong pull for, I would say, almost every account. Unless you really don't have blue crystals, because there might be another summer banner coming out. Vincent is coming out, and then the anniversary is coming out in September. So there are a lot of good things coming out, but Lucia is her basically her costume is really good. Oh, I never talked about her debuffs. Her costume is really good because, like I said, Sun's Favor is going to help almost all the time, and the buff debuff extension is also going to help almost all the time because let's look at her weapons. She's got, her featured weapon, right? She's got Rose Musket, which does magic defense down high. She has Thunderbird, which also does magic defense down. She's got, you can use the costume with Bald Eagle. Bald Eagle does ice resist down. Yeah, so when you use the costume, the ice resist down will last longer, and then Bald Eagle has the ice materia slot, so then that basically means you can use your ice attacks more often because the debuff will last longer. Not this one. What's this? No. She's got SSR, which is not that good, but it does work with the costume. Increases magic defense of one ally. This is probably her best one, I would say. She has Mad Minute, which does magic attack down. It can go to high, that's pretty good. That's it though. So she doesn't actually have that many. This is one problem with Lucia right now, is as a character, I think she's one of the worst characters right now. If I had to make a tier list, I would put her near the bottom of the tier list, because her weapons are just kind of awkward, and they don't cover too much, or whatever they cover, like someone else might be able to cover it just as good or maybe even better. But because her costume is good in so many situations, I think it might be worth investing into this, because basically, if you get this costume, you probably don't need another costume for Lucia, like, ever. It's a good one. It's a good costume for her, just because it works all the time. Like, it'll help you in almost all situations. So yeah, I still haven't decided yet, but I think I will pull for Lucia's costume. Even though I don't use Lucia, so it's kind of an investment into the future. That she might get useful stuff later, and then if she gets a future costume, I can skip her future costumes just because I have this costume, which should be good enough for most setups. I think that's the real value of this costume. But yeah. Right now, Lucia, she's kind of weak, so it's kind of a gamble, yeah. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. If I do pull, I will make another video and share my pulls with you. I did prepare my stamp card. You can see, if I do pull, I am planning to choose Lucia, because like I said, I have Fire Cloud, so I don't need Fire Yuffie. So yeah. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think, if you guys are going to pull, and I'll catch you later.